Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to another round of Premier League predictions where me and my brother go head to head in predicting Premier League outcomes. As you can see on the top hand side of the screen, 201 to Sim, 197 to me. And the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's get into the games of the weekend. Starting off with Crystal Palace against Liverpool at Selhurst Park. Sim has gone for 1-0 to Liverpool. I've gone for 3-0 to Liverpool. Why 1?
I just think apparently Olise is suffering from a bit of an injury, so there's a doubt whether he'll make it or not. Obviously, Palace not going great at the moment. A lot of Palace fans are very disgruntled with the way they're going under Roy Hodgson. Obviously, they're going to set up to frustrate Liverpool. Selhurst Park is a very small pitch and can be very congested. I think we've seen Liverpool on a couple of occasions this season away from them struggle a bit. Not to say they'll struggle enough not to take all 3 points. I think they'll get the win eventually, but I don't see it being very, very easy, especially at 12:30 as well, on early kickoff as well. So I've just gone for a frustrating 1-0 win.
Yeah, Klopp was talking about the 12:30s, how much he doesn't like them, but I just do think against a Crystal Palace side that just don't seem at it at all at the moment. Questions being asked about Roy Hodgson. I just see Liverpool taking advantage of that at Selhurst Park, and with the firepower that Liverpool have, especially after, a hard victory against Sheffield United, where Sheffield United played quite well. I feel like Liverpool taking out a bit of frustration on Crystal Palace this weekend. So I've gone for 3-0 to Liverpool at Selhurst Park. Next up is Brighton against Burnley. Both of us going for the same scoreline here. 3-1 to Brighton. And I feel like Brighton are going to take advantage of Burnley this weekend. Koleosho out injured, which is a massive loss to Burnley in terms of their firepower going forward. But I think they'll have more than enough to breach the weak back line of Brighton. But I just feel like Brighton going forward are a match for anyone, and especially against a naive Burnley side. So I've gone for 3-1.
Yeah, I see it being a bit of a shootout. Who can have the most quality going forward, and who's going to take full advantage of the chances they create. And I'm just backing Brighton. I think they have the quality to create more chances than Burnley, even with their injuries. And I think they've got the quality to take it. I do see Burnley playing some good football. I do see them having their moments, but I just don't see it. I don't see them overcoming a Brighton team. Even though Brighton aren't in great form, I still see them getting the win here.
Next up, a big game at Old Trafford. Manchester United against Bournemouth. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Manchester United here.
Yeah, buoyed from a very important 2-1 victory against Chelsea midweek as well. It seemed like a performance as well for the players to fight back against the media. All the talk midweek was about the players turning on Ten Hag. He made some brave decisions, leaving out the likes of Rashford out of the team as well. And I think the players responded with a very good performance and a dominant performance against Chelsea, and ended up getting the victory. And I think Bournemouth in their own right in great form, and it's going to be very difficult for Man United to contain them. But I just think the quality will shine through. I think Bournemouth are a fairly open team. I can see Man United in good form, taking full advantage of it, and at home as well. So I've gone for 3-1 to Man United.
Yeah, I've actually gone for a draw here at Old Trafford. I've gone for Bournemouth to come to Old Trafford and take a point. I was toying with a bit of a Bournemouth win as well this weekend, but Ten Hag, Garnacho and Maguire all scooping the Premier League prizes in terms of manager, player and goal of the month this month. So I'm going for a bit of a Manager of the Month curse this weekend, with Bournemouth going to Old Trafford and taking a point. I've been really impressed with Bournemouth. 3 wins out of their last 4 games, and against good sides as well. They've drawn against Aston Villa, they've beaten Newcastle, and beaten Crystal Palace and Sheffield United as well, where Manchester United, look, they did have a much better performance against Chelsea, but I just got a feeling there could be a surprise in the offing here at Old Trafford this weekend. So I've gone for 1-1. Then we move on to Bramall Lane, Sheffield United against Brentford. Both of us going for the same scoreline here, in 1-0 to Sheffield United. They had a spirited performance against Liverpool at Bramall Lane during the week, and I feel like they'll take some encouragement from that performance and go and take all 3 points at this weekend against Brentford. A new manager bounce.
Yeah, I just think no Mbuemo for Brentford. That's a massive part of their armoury not there, and I think without him, and with Sheffield United having that new manager bounce, and with Chris Wilder at the helm now, that'll bring new energy to Sheffield United. I'm not sure if it'll be enough to keep them up in the long term, but I do think in the short term, I do see them getting a bit of a boost, and I think they will overcome a very well-organised Brentford team, and I do think it's going to be a bit of a stodgy game, but I've gone for Sheffield United to shade it 1-0.
Let's go to Molineux next as Wolves face Nottingham Forest, a team who are dreadfully out of form. Both of us going for the same scoreline here by 2-0 to Wolves. What's your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I think it's a game where both sides kind of would prefer for the opposition to have the ball a bit, open up the space. Obviously, Forest have a dreadful away form, obviously losing 5-0 to Fulham in midweek. And Steve Cooper under immense pressure to get the result this weekend. Otherwise, this could be his last game in charge of Nottingham Forest. Gary O'Neill's Wolves are in pretty good form, and they got a pretty good win in midweek at home to Burnley, although it was only 1-0. But I think at home to this Forest side, I just see Forest succumbing to Wolves' pressure, and I just think it's going to be just about a Wolves win, so 2-0.
Yeah, it's a strange one actually with Wolves, because these are kind of the games where they come unstuck a little bit sometimes. They perform really well against the bigger sides and get points there at Molineux there. But when they come up against like the lower sides, they actually struggle a little bit, and they did struggle against Burnley during the week, but they did get the 3 points at the end of the day. But I just feel like the poor form Nottingham Forest on this weekend are just going to override that factor. I do feel like this is going to be Steve Cooper's last game, and Cunha and Hwang Hee-chan are in really good form, both of them. So I can see a few goals in there for Wolves, so that's why I've gone for 2-0. Big game at the top. Aston Villa against Arsenal at Villa Park. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Villa. I've gone for 1-1 here. I think it was a very taxing game for Aston Villa against Manchester City during the week, where they just absolutely dominated them for 90 minutes. It's a bit of a different game this weekend, coming up an Arsenal side who are, in form, getting results week after week. Man City, not on the greatest form, haven't won in 4 games. I can see Arsenal coming here and being resolute and potentially getting a point. I was toying with the Aston Villa win, but I just feel like the points are going to be split.
Yeah, I've gone for Villa to win. If they put this similar energy against Arsenal as they did against Man City, I can see them really taking the game to Arsenal, and Arsenal struggling to live with it. Arsenal's away form, yes, they've been getting results, but performances have really been lacking. They really have. And I think, again, they on a Tuesday night, they got the result. Performance wasn't that amazing. I do think defensively been resolute, but they haven't been getting at teams away from home. They've kind of been biding their time, being patient, and I don't know if that's going to work against Aston Villa, who are just full of energy, full of confidence, and players in form. And look, 14 wins in a row at home for Villa. I'm banking them to make it 15.
Everton against Chelsea at Goodison Park. We've both gone for the same scoreline here, again in 1-0 to Everton, and to compound some more misery on Maurizio Pochettino.
Yep, Poch is under pressure at the moment. Very poor performance in midweek against Man United. A lot of Chelsea fans all of a sudden starting to question him at the moment about his long-term suitability. I think it's way too early to start doing that, but he is definitely under pressure. He needs a big performance. But Everton are in great form, and they ripped Newcastle apart in the weekend. Even against Man United, when they lost, they had a bundle of chances which they missed, and Man United took advantage the other end. And I just think, who's going to be up for the fight more in this game? Is it going to be Chelsea or Everton? I think that's where the game's going to be won and lost. Who wants it more? And I'm banking on Everton, so I'm going for Everton 1-0.
Yeah, I feel like Everton are going to dominate Chelsea physically in this game, to be honest. And I feel like it could actually be more than 1-0. You're seeing Everton, surprisingly, they're scoring quite a lot of goals at the moment. A lot of 3-0 wins over the past month or month and a half or so. And Sean Dyche is really getting a tune out of this side. So, yeah, I'm going to stick with 1-0 to Everton. I do think Everton get the 3 points this weekend, and that's going to heap even more pressure on Maurizio Pochettino. But let's move on to Craven Cottage as Fulham face West Ham. Both of us gone for the same scoreline here once again. Fulham actually on a bit of good form at home, just beating Nottingham Forest 5-0. West Ham, they're getting a few good results recently, but they're not playing that well. And I feel like this could be a bit of a drab game, but I've gone for the spoils to be split.
Yeah, to be fair for West Ham, unbeaten in 4 and 3 wins out of the last 4 as well. So on the form table suggests they're doing well, but if you watch them play, definitely you feel like they leave you wanting a bit more in terms of how they're playing, but they do pick their moments. Fulham, to be fair to them, are turning it around. It looked like at the beginning of the season, without Mitrovic, they would really struggle to stay in the Premier League. But form recently has turned around for them a bit, starting to get a few wins at home and starting to find their goal-scoring boots, which were really struggling without Mitrovic of late. I do see this being a very tactical game. Both teams kind of picking their moments to attack, but by and large, both teams keeping each other at arm's length, and that's why I've gone 1-1.
Next up is Luton against Manchester City at Kenilworth Road. Man City need to get back to winning ways to stay in touch with the title race. Crazy enough to think about. But yeah, both of us gone for 2-0 to Manchester City. Yeah,
and I think it's always a difficult place to go. Luton, they've proved that this season. Every game they've played at home, they made it difficult for the opposition, I assume. And I predict they'll do the same for Man City. I just think Man City can't go 5 games without a win, and I just think they'll have way too much quality in the end for Luton. Luton's pitch is small and it's difficult to play nice, expansive football there, but I think Man City have enough to even take advantage of set pieces and mistakes that Luton make. So I've gone for 2-0 to Man City.
Yeah, I can see actually Luton frustrating Man City towards the latter stages of the game even, and Man City like taking advantage of maybe tired legs against a defence that's going to be worked hard. So I think that, you know, they will make it hard for City, but like you say, quality will shine through in the end, probably at Kenilworth Road. So we've both gone for 2-0 to Manchester City. In terms of the last game of the weekend is Newcastle travelling to Tottenham Hotspur. Both Sim's gone for 2-1 to Spurs. I've gone for 3-1 to Spurs. And I got a feeling Ange could tweak a few things in the front line to make us a bit more dynamic, make us a bit more clinical, especially as after the horrid frontline performance against West Ham. I do see Ange completely laying into them, and hopefully they'll respond with a better performance. Newcastle's away form, not great by any stretch of the imagination, just losing 3-0 to Everton. So I've gone for Spurs to take the win.
Yeah, I think for some reason Newcastle are really struggling at home, away from home, sorry. Bournemouth away, losing 2-0, just looking really a soft touch. 3-0 away to Everton again, getting bullied off the pitch. Spurs in desperate need for a win after 5 games without a win. And despite not winning in 5 games, the performances haven't been terrible. The performance on Thursday was disappointing and definitely didn't create enough chances. And I'm hoping he'll find a solution to that problem. But obviously Romero back in the defence, I thought he played really well. So I hope that should really help Spurs defensively, just limit Newcastle. So I've gone for a tight game. Obviously both teams desperate for a result, but I've gone for Spurs to shade it 2-1.
Let's move on to the star man. Sim has gone for Garnacho, Manchester United at home to Bournemouth.
Yeah, he's in great form. I think I watched him against Chelsea. He was electric. Really gave their fullbacks no end of trouble, and relentless. And he's got quality. He got an assist, got a brilliant overhead kick away at Everton the game before. I think he's playing really well at the moment. He's got that place nailed down ahead of Rashford as well. So I'm banking on him to do something against Bournemouth.
Yeah, I've gone for Matthias Cunha of Wolves. They've got a home game against Nottingham Forest, who are just getting battered every single week at the moment, and I feel like the likes of Cunha and Hwang Hee-chan can really put them to the sword this weekend. And Cunha has been performing really well of late, and he's been getting pretty much a goal contribution every game for the past 4 or 5 weeks. So he's got 4 goals, 3 assists already this season, and I'm backing him to get some more goal contributions this weekend. So that is our predictions. Let me know your predictions in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to come out on top? Who is your star man? Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next time.